Hello, welcome to my channel. My name is Abiodun. I'll be taking you through Python lesson. In this class, I'll be using Google Colab as a platform where I'll be writing the Python code. Now, in case you are not familiar with Google Colab is an online platform, a cloud-based platform where you can write your code and run it, your Python code. You don't need to install any Python or any code editor on your system for you to use Google Colab. Is a free application. The only thing you need is an access to internet, because even if you don't have a system to use, you can always connect to Google Colab on your phone, because you can access it and still write your code on the phone, but it has to have access to the internet. So it's a very good platform for anyone that wants to learn platform. Even if you don't have a computer system, that shouldn't be a limitation for you. So you can actually start learning today. So if you look at this platform, we have the title bar where you save your project name with whatever you want, and the extension for saving it is .ipymb. Whenever you sign into your Google Colab, automatically you will see this extension there. And for you to sign into Google Colab, it's very simple. Just go on Google, search for Google Colab, click on the options, any of the options you see on the screen there. Then if you have a Gmail, you can sign with your Gmail or any other account that is allowed for you to use. Well, I would advise you use Gmail. It works better with Gmail, so you can just sign in with your email, with your Gmail. Then you start using it. Now we have files, we have edit, we have view, we have insert, we have runtime, we have tools, and we have help. All these things have some other options that you can actually select while writing your code and on Google Colab. So, but as we move on in the class, as we move on in the lesson, we understand how to use all these options. They are very simple, just like when you click on the file in Microsoft Word and you add some effects. That's just it. Copy and paste, open, close, delete. Those are the things that are there, so they are not difficult. Now also we have code and we also have text. Now what is the function of this code and what is the function of this text? This code, when you click on it, you can see a plus sign, that is, you can add code, that is, but when you click on it, what it will create for you is a cell. In Google Colab, you write your code in cells. For example, if I click on it now, you can see that it's create a cell for me. This black part of the interface that you are seeing now is where you write your code, where you type whatever you want to type. And once you are done writing your code, you can see this play like icon. That is what you click on to run your code. So if your code is wrong, when you click on it, it will indicate that it is wrong. You will see some red notification, some red signs. It won't work. But if your code is right, when you click on it, it will show a green mark sign, that is, the cell has been run and you are good to go. So now instead of clicking on this play like icon, you can also come under runtime and select, if you have, because you can have actually have multiple cells in your code, but definitely you can't be writing all code in one cell, because this is a notebook. We can make notes with it, so you don't need to model anything up. So if you have more than one cell, instead of clicking, like now if I click on add code again, you can see that it's adding more cells to it. So let's say I have code there, I have code there, and I want to run them together. You can say run all. This run all will run from the very first one, then down like that to the last one. And we have run before, just like the English. Maybe I want to, maybe I click here, but I want to run this cell here. Though even though I'm clicking on this second cell, but I want to run the first one, I can choose that run before. They are just English that ordinary person can easily understand. So we have it like that. Well, before we move on into Python class, In total, I also want you to look at this text here. Text, because if you remember, I mentioned making a notebook. Google Colab is like a notebook. It looks like Jupyter Notebook if you are familiar with Jupyter Notebook. But for Jupyter Notebook, you can actually use it offline. You can use Jupyter Notebook offline, but for Google Colab, you must be online. You need access to internet for you to use it. So, but the function of this text is if you are making maybe a comment, the comment here now is different from the one you make with Python code. This is just for you to probably, let's say you want to do summation of two numbers. So you can just say summing up, let me just say summing up integers. This will allow you, then you click out or you press escape. So then you can come here, you can see where I'm pointing, you can point it to show what we have here is what we also have here. So we can also have it here, you can click here and start writing your code. So you know what you are doing here is summing up integers. So it's like writing a note. So whenever you sign into your Google Colab, anywhere, any day, anytime, it's you'll be able to access it because it saves your work automatically. So that is a function of the code and the text function that you are seeing here. And in case you don't want the cell again, you can actually delete it. In case you don't want this also, you can delete it. In case you don't want this, you can also delete it. So that is how Google Colab work. So now the first thing we'll be talking about in this Python class would be data type. A data type, we have so many data type. But before we go into that, let's talk about variable, because I'll be using that variable to explain some things in all the data type we have. Now in Python, a variable is a name given to an object or value sitting in memory. It's basically a container that holds data. It can then be utilized, changed, or referred to during a program. A variable is only a symbolic name for a value, and it makes it easier to manipulate this very value. How do we mean? By what I've just read out. Now, a variable is where you save your values in memory in your line of codes, and you can always refer to it. For example, let me add a cell now. For example, let's say a is equal to 4. I'm writing this in the same cell. You can just press enter to make space, and I say b space equal to 6. Now a and b here are the variables. A and b here are the variables. A and b are the variable that has the value 4 and 6, which means if I want to refer to this 4 and 6, I will have to refer to a and b. So they store these values in their memory, so you can easily access them by accessing this variable. So, and variables in Python, or conventionally when you are writing code, there is a conventional way of creating variable. This is one of the ways. Let me add another example of it to it. You can also have, let's say you want to create variable for student name. You can create it like this, student underscore name. Then you can say equal to whatever you want to give it. Let's say John. Let's say John. It's a variable. This is a variable. So now you might want to say, why can't we just say space name? No, in Python it's not allowed, and putting dash like this is not also allowed conventionally in writing programming. So this is another way of creating variable in Python. Then another way to it also is this. Let me add another cell. You can also have your underscore and write, let's say, school equal to, say the school is Mary Jane. Say Mary Jane. Mary Jane. So you creating a school, maybe school name, or you can even say underscore again name. But if you are saying school name, you don't actually need to put this. Instead, you can easily use this. But what I'm trying to say is this: you can start your variable, name your variable. You can start creating your variable with an underscore, then the text, then you give it the value. This is the value that this variable is, carrying. This is a conventional way of creating variable when you are writing your code in Python. That does not mean that if you write it anyhow, like if I join this together, or let me say I put dash, if I write it like this and I still refer to it in my line of code, it might still work, but you might be having issues with it because we have some other functions that carry things like this. So, but for you to write a very good and nice code, arranging your work very well for others to understand conventionally, this is how you should write it. So that is how to create a variable. The next thing we'll be talking about is print function. Now the print function prints the specified message to the screen or other standard output device. How do we mean by that? Print function. It prints out whatever line of code you have written to the screen. For example, now let me clean this. Now remember, I create a variable a which is equal to 4 and b equal to 6. Now let's say I want to sum up these two variables. I can't just say a plus b, which in other words it means I have to create another variable that will accommodate the summation of a and b. So for example, now let me say c is equal to a plus b space b. Now if you look at it now, a equals to 4, b equals to 6 are one variable. Now c now is now accommodating a and b, which means c is a variable that is having the value of the summation of a and b. Now print says, let's go back, the print function prints the specified message to the screen or other standard output device. So for us to now see the output of the summation of a plus b, then we have to print this c. Now remember, I told you if you want to run your code, you can click on this play like icon. Now if I just go here now and print c without running this one, I only typed it, I've not run this cell, so it's not recognized. I've only typed this, I've not run this cell, so it's not recognized. If I just let me just show you an example of what I'm trying to say. If I come here now and I say print, remember we're on print function, print c, which means I'm referring to this c now. If I just say print, it's loading. Let's give it some time, it's loading. So if I say print c, it will show an error. Why? Because I've not actually run the first two cells that this third cell is referring to. You can see that it's giving me error, name error, because it's not recognizing a, it's not recognizing b, it's not recognizing c, and I'm saying print c. It doesn't know them. So but for it to recognize, I have to run the cells. And remember, I told you under runtime, if I don't want to run them one after the other, I can also say run all. So now I'll run this, then you can see this green sign that is showing this mark. I can also come here also. You can also see these green signs, which means the cells are good to go. I'm okay to refer to them. Now if I click on this, you can see that the summation of a plus b, which is equal to c, is giving me 10. Here is the result. That is how print function work. Continue in the next video. Remember, I'm starting this Python lesson from scratch. In case you have anybody that is interested in learning, let them join the class I'll be posting on YouTube, and then you can follow me on YouTube also. Thank you.